Hey, it's your girl, Shalon with Peeling the Onion, and I'm so excited. I've got my people in the building, some wonderful guests around me today to kick off my 1 year anniversary of Peeling the Onion. So let's get started. Who we got here?
Nichelle Poston. I'm a freelance reporter.
Yes.
You want anything else?
Yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Born and raised in Philadelphia.
Hey.
Yes. City of brotherly love.
We don't show no love.
What?
We don't show
Okay.
no love.
Well, I'm rare.
You're rare.
Yes.
All right, go.
Oh,
Yes.
my name is Blake Saunders, also known as Blake the Brain. I'm a photographer, born and raised here in Wilmington, Delaware.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I always do that. I always do that. Every time I say little like I'm a fake Jamaican.
Okay.
Okay.
You're Jamaican?
I'm a Jamaican.
Jamaican.
Definitely a Jamaican. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just excited.
Yeah, thank you
Excited.
for coming.
No problem.
And I'm Jenna Finstermacher, and I'm a fundraiser and love to recruit people to a good cause. So that's what I'm up to.
You know, Corporate Ballard lost his life. I think it's going on almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Time goes by so quick.
Yeah.
You know, in the line of fire, lost his wife. But the ironic thing is that, you know, this is the similar thing happened with the gentleman that she was before she married Steven. So, but she has been able to take that tragedy and just kind of like I'm just amazed anyway by how she's able to just continue to move forward with life. I know she has a daughter. Sometimes kids are sort of like that force to keep you moving. But I just can't even imagine going through something like that and being able to just kind of push through and, you know, be so active in the community to give back. You know, have any of you guys ever experienced like some sort of tragedy that you had to overcome? Or
But I'm one of my best friends. Actually, my best friend, we grew up since 6 years old. He lost his mom and his dad. They passed when we were younger, when we were kids. And for him to become the man that he has become, losing both of your parents at such a young age, growing up where we grew up at, I told him at his wedding, I said, yo, you're the best man I ever met. To overcome those tragedies. I can't imagine, no matter if I'm close to my parents or not, losing a parent, let alone both parents who you were actually really close to. So, I mean, he was the closest that I known that had that type of tragedy at such a young age.
Right.
And to see him become the positive male that he is and a positive father, I mean, that's something I just look at and clap my hands to.
yeah, I mean, for me personally, I lost my father when I was 6. So actually saw him coming out your bedroom, and it's so vivid because I can see it as if it was happening right now. Coming out of your bedroom, seeing your father stretched out in the hallway. And my dad was a pretty big guy, you know, and my mom literally dragging him into the bathroom to wake him up, you know, splashing water, and me being 6 and having to call 911. Like, I will never, ever, you know, forget that. And that's definitely changed my life, shaped my life. I feel like, unfortunately, death has always been a part of my life. You know, after that was my grandmother, his mother. Then I lost a good friend to a drunk driver. And then there was a series like with my family, like we lost in like 3 years, like 11 people. Like it was just like back to back. But the one thing that it just keeps reminding me of is like, am I living my best life today? You know what I mean? Because, and you know, you hear it growing up, like, you're not promised tomorrow, you know, and it sounds so cliche, but as you get older, you're like, oh my God, like I'm really not promised the next day, and it could be just gone just like that. So with that, am I doing everything today that I want to do or that I need to do, so that if my time is up, that I feel like I've accomplished what I need to accomplish here while I'm here, you know?
Yeah. It's important to have an attitude of gratitude. I love when you said
gratitude.
attitude of gratitude, count your blessings, because no day is promised.
Nowadays, I mean, you say it so often, like, oh my gosh, 11 people, this is tragic. But then 5 minutes later, you're going with your life.
Right.
But you got to remember, that's 11 people. Who,
Right.
Like, that could be
Connected to someone. That's someone's
someone.
sister, brother, daughter, cousin, friend, wife.
Why can't that be
Yeah,
us? Why
yeah.
can't that? Like, it can happen to anyone. Pray that it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But it can happen to any of us. And when I cry, it's like, all right, a little bit of pain, but we're fine. So that's why I say I don't cry ugly. It's just like, it's therapy for me. I always say it's like
It's
like
a
food.
release.
It's a release.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
release of your emotions.
Yeah.
And you just gotta get it out there, and then after that, we'll figure out a way. So you get 24 hours to be in your feelings. After that, we gotta move on.
Yeah.
24 hours.
24
Yeah.
Not saying that you're not going to still be upset
Yeah.
about something if you made a mistake or whatever, but you get 24 hours to feel sorry for yourself
Yes.
and play the victim. After that, we gotta take what's next. Where are we going? We gotta figure it out. Targets and goals.
I use the same system for the 24 hours,
Yeah, yeah.
mourning period. I established that when I started owing taxes. I would be so sad. I would be so sad. So I took a day just to be with that, and then I would go back to work, and you know, I gotta now address this. So there was a couple years of that, and then I still use that, when something comes up today.
So that's kind of like your baseline. I got 24 hours.
I love it. I'm gonna try that.
So how do you think that you would overcome tragedy? Have you ever taken a moment and just like thought about like you said, none of us are exempt from these things happening, but what if something like that happened? How would you overcome tragedy? Would you be like a Luis who would, turn it around and do something positive in the community, or,
I mean,
I
it
don't know.
depends what it is, but my go-to would be praying and going to God. That would be my go-to. He's my comforter, my healer.
Yeah. Jen?
For me, that would be, it sort of would certainly be a TBD situation, but as far as strategies or actions immediately following, I know for me what works in preventing depression or like clawing your way out is therapy. So I see somebody regularly, I would continue to do that. There's just good habits that you have that if you maintain those can see you through some, rockier times. So doing that, I just got into mindfulness. You heard about this a little bit. So I would certainly suggest that, which is based in meditation and trying to separate yourself from an event or stimulus, your emotions, yourself, and your reaction. And all of those are separate things. But a lot of people live so close, between the event and their reaction that it seems like the same thing. But those are all separate parts. So maintaining yourself as a separate thing than your emotions, and knowing that they will pass, as all things do. So just identifying that. So I guess it's like being well prepared and maintaining good behaviors or good habits following, because I think that's how you are set up for success. And I'm just hopeful that the good habits that I've established continue to work, that I continue to maintain those, because you never know when's your day.
Right. I mean, so we're
scary.
we're talking about mental health and like the importance of having the discussion on mental health. Our past guest, Dr. Tony Allen, who's a provost of Delaware State University, talked about it. Yeah, DSU.
State.
You know.
Outsider.
The importance of talking to someone. You know what I mean? Has anyone, actually, besides Jenna, who just said that she sits down and talks to anyone, has anyone been to therapy?
I haven't, but actually, that's one of my goals. On the flip side, is I want to be a mental health counselor or therapist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to school for it. Absolutely. I think I always felt like my purpose was to help people. I always felt like that since I was younger. So I like talking to kids, talking to youth, or whoever, adults or whatever. But like you said, mental health is huge. It's huge, and it really is going to determine where you're going to go in life and all that stuff. So I think I've figured out like my talents, God-given talents and gifts, and align that with what I believe is my purpose. And I think that's where the fulfillment comes in, as when you combine all of it. And I just want to talk to people and help them, because I think I've been blessed with the gift, thank God, is to connect with people,
Right.
and to be able to talk, but also just being a great listener and understanding and figuring out, okay, how can we connect this person to whatever it is they're trying to do, like your therapist is doing.
I have tried therapy, but one of the things I just started doing, and this is very new, I think I started May 26th, which was this week.
I was like,
Right?
I know. Listen, so I get up every morning now, and I write in a journal, something like this, and I make sure I fill the page with everything that I'm thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
I just remind myself of everything that I'm thankful for. And that's just my way of staying in a good mindset. So hopefully it lasts.
Yeah, people.
I'm trying to do it at least for 30 days. And
No,
then
that's
read,
good.
Yeah, and before I go to bed, I read it. So
People say that, you can't be thankful and angry at the same time, or, some sort of discontent at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a good practice. So I do it with my son every morning to say, okay, what's the one thing that you're thankful for? You know what I mean? Because sometimes, kid gets up, don't want to go to school,
Yeah.
he's in a funk. But, I literally see a change when he's like, oh, okay, I'm grateful. And it's not like, I'm grateful for my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm grateful for my house, or I'm grateful for food, or I'm grateful for this car, or, things like that. So
You got
that,
a car?
right.
Wait, how old
right.
is he?
He's 10.
No, I was messing.
Oh.
You got a car?
No, he's joking. But no,
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, it's hard for you to be grumpy and upset with the world when you start your day with being grateful.
Yeah.
So one of the things I just heard and just learned from TD Jakes is attitude will determine your altitude. So I am thinking about that every day.
Absolutely.
And most of the time you'll see me smiling, but I used to find something to complain about all the time, and I'm just trying to get out of that mindset. Like, if something would happen, I will get on that little tangent and call everyone up, like, do you believe this? And we'll talk about it for hours on hours, and I just don't want to be that girl anymore.
Right.
So
When you talk about the smile, though, I think about that all the time, because I tend to do this. You walk into an office and you're like, hi. And then no sooner than you smile, the smile goes away. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So,
Hey, how are you?
yeah. Right.
Like, that was fake.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying that to myself, but literally you think about it like, the smiles. Like, what is really behind the smiles?
Yeah.
Like, we all, it's sort of like that thing to do, like a hello, or, it's the smile. But literally, you could be, like, dying on the inside, or something, like you said, to talk about tragedy, or we could be experiencing depression. But for whatever reason, we're like, I'm okay, I'm fine. You know what I mean? Hello, right. And you just plaster this smile, and you never know, like, what's behind it. So I think it's very, I think the onus is on us, like, when we're connected to people, to really, like, check in with folks. I know that, not everyone does therapy. I've done therapy a couple times. But, a good way is, like Blake was saying, is to talk to people. So you have your day ones, your A1s, that you could talk to, that know you, that you can process things out. Because sometimes so many of us just smile, and literally we are dying on the inside, So, yeah.
Just to speak on that.
Did you raise your hand?
I did. No, I did. Just to kind of, I didn't want to,
Respect.
out of respect. No, I
respect, and then
Okay.
you have to do your Wilmington thing.
But
You want me to really do it? I can really do it.
Okay.
But I think, like you said, we never know what's behind a smile. We're hiding on the inside. And like you said, when it comes to therapy, I think that we are so concerned about what other people would think of us rather than what we think about what's really going on inside. You know what I mean? And that's why I would say in the Black culture, a lot of people don't go to therapy is because we don't want nobody in our business. We want nobody really knowing who we are, what we suffer from, etc., what are our insecurities. And my mindset is, F that. Because when you actually talk to somebody, you actually start to feel better. So imagine if you just say F that. I always look at people and I'm like, well, failures and goals. Like, I'm putting it out there no matter what it is, because I know that everybody has something that their battle, and everybody has their demons, right? So everybody has something that they're battling. So it's like, you got your battle. Go ahead, fight your battle.
Right.
And I can express mine because I know, and not to say that I'm better or worse than anyone, but the moment when somebody feels like they're better than me, I like, all right, thank you. Just let me know I'm winning because I'm not judging you. I know you got your battles, and if you think that you're better than me as a person, then okay, well then you just let me know I just won. So I'm a be better, and just I'm freely expressing myself, which becomes therapy for me.
But sometimes when people react like that, it bumps up against something on the inside of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you being extremely expressive and, hosting, and, someone could be like, oh, God, why does he have to act that way? But that's really on the deep side. They're like, man,
That's
I really
their
wish
problem.
I
Absolutely.
wish I
That's-
could
Right.
really
Do that.
be
Yeah.
courageous
Yeah.
to do those things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just
I agree
a
with
bunch of-
you. I would say that's your problem. Hang on. If I make you uncomfortable, no disrespect, Kyle. Kyle, think you're white, right?
Hello?
Right? Like, say if I
Leave
say
my
something,
camera guy
I
alone.
didn't Kyle said what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Like,
what
say
if
if,
you asked him, is he white?
Kyle, you're white, right?
Oh.
Right. Then, and I say this because most of us are minorities, right?
Yeah.
If I was to say something something like go support black businesses, and some people might not feel uncomfortable saying that in front of Kyle because they don't want Kyle to feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And no disrespect to Kyle, it's like, no, I'm not making Kyle uncomfortable intentionally. That's not intentionally for him.
Right.
But if Kyle feels uncomfortable by me saying support black businesses, that's not my problem.
Right.
That is something that Kyle might have an issue with himself. And I'm sorry to bring Kyle in this.
No, that's fine.
Kyle, my bad. I'm gonna
He's
text him later.
okay.
Why you bring Kyle in this? Don't beat me up. Okay?
No.
But that's what I mean.
We
by-
can always edit that.
we
No,
get it
I'm
out. We
joking.
get it out. We get it out. We get it out. But I say, long as I'm not doing anything that's disrespectful to you, if I'm being me and that makes you uncomfortable, that's not my problem.
Right.
That's you.
Right.
It's something that you need to deal with.
Self-care is important to me
Right.
now. I used to run around all the time for everyone else but myself. And so I'm starting everything new. I don't know. This 2019 is like my year. And I'm so happy, right?
Start everything May 26th. Start everything.
Well, no, because, I don't
But that's
remember
good,
when
though.
I
That's
started.
no matter when you start, you start.
But recently, you know what? No, I guess it's not recently. I've been going to the sauna and steam room for the last few years, but just out of the blue. But now I go with some friends every Sunday. We're, at the sauna,
Steaming it
room.
up.
Yes, all day. Literally all day. And we'll talk and we'll laugh.
Right.
And we'll have our snacks. So it's self-care Sundays all day for me. And I'm just
Snacks in the sauna?
No, not snack. I'll step out of the
Oh,
sauna.
okay, so it has
Yeah.
Snacks in the sauna.
Yeah, no, I'll step out of the sauna.
Okay.
But no, I go hard on self-care Sundays.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sticking to it though, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because sometimes, you start out and you're like, oh yes, self-care Sundays, or, I'm going to make sure that I spend 10 minutes in the day and just, I usually, in the morning shower, but I turn the lights off and just light a candle. And for whatever reason, I feel like I'm separate from the world. And then like when you come out, it's like, oh, now I'm stepping into my reality. So that's like my small form of self-care. You know what I mean? But I'm not consistent. I don't do it all the time. So being disciplined to do those things.
So you need friends to hold you accountable, right? We can hold her accountable and call you up and say, hey.
Okay, but ask me the right questions.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
How are you?
What did you do?
How was the shower?
But I think you're right on the value of other people. For the habit that you're talking about with your self-care Sunday, something that probably makes it easy is that other people are doing it too.
Yeah.
And there's something valuable in connecting with other people. We're so busy that that's not always really part of our day-to-day. You may know about one of my favorite books I just read this past year, What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast. And it has a company material about what the most successful people do with the weekend, which is important for me because I worked on the weekend every weekend for like 13 years.
Oh, wow.
So when I had a full-time job that paid enough that I wasn't working a second job, and I got comfortable with the fact that I could rely on one source of income, because that's a transition in itself. All of a sudden I had this huge block of like over 48 hours with nothing planned. And what do people even do on the weekend? So
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
So this book helped a lot. And one thing was connecting with, friends, like social engagements. So social engagements, exercise, being outdoors, and spiritual connection, and planning something fun in Sunday evenings. So that you don't have those Sunday
your
the
fun
Sunday
thing?
blues.
Yeah, what's the
Well,
fun
I haven't
because
established that
Okay,
yet,
okay.
but those were the recommendations.
Okay, yeah.
So far I've gotten outdoors
Uh-huh.
and friends together in one thing because I'm efficient.
Effective.
On-
Effective. Efficient.
I love it.
on
Effective
Saturday
video.
morning.
Yeah.
So that's I get together with my people, for that, and
Yeah.
that's a little tradition. And whoever can make it, and if you can't,
That's just what it is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing, and remember earlier I said, oh, you exercise, right?
Yeah.
I did not know that exercising it boosts your mood,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
I remember
it
having
does.
this really bad day, and my friend, she came over and she said, let's go to the gym. And I looked at her as if she was crazy. I said, the gym for what? What do I look like? I'm not going to the gym. I'm
Yeah.
working. That's not going to make me feel good. And I often look at this video. She secretly recorded me working out at the gym, and it was hilarious because I did walk away feeling better, but it was just too much. But now I try to exercise. So it's funny that you brought that up. Exercising will boost your
Right.
mood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can be exactly who you are in your profession?
I kind of agree with Jenna. Like, I do find myself conforming, but I don't see anything wrong with that.
Mm.
Most people will, but I don't. I don't. Certain things require a different Nichelle. I may be the aggressive Nichelle one day. I may be the sweet, bubbly Nichelle. It all depends. But yes, I do conform to a degree.
Just a question for the ladies. So, say for an example, when you do conform, like when you get home, do you ever ask yourself? I'm just asking, like, do you feel uncomfortable that you conformed? Like later on, you were like, I wasn't myself. Like
I don't compromise
Okay.
myself.
Right.
There you
I
go.
don't. That's different.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I don't go home and say, oh my gosh, why did I do that?
Right. So I
Yeah.
feel the same way. I don't compromise myself as part of the conforming. However, are sometimes harder than others.
Right.
Do I go home and say, that was exhausting? I hope I don't have to do that again soon. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be true to myself, you know what I mean, and bring myself and who I am, the essence of who I am in anything and everything that I do. But sometimes, like to your point earlier, we were talking about earlier, sometimes it rubs people the wrong way. I could be, like, I know that my laugh is infectious, you know what I mean? I could be in my office and I don't quiet myself to laugh, or if someone is talking and I think it's funny, I laugh. But it's pretty boisterous and, what have you. But, there's been times where, you've been shushed and I'm like, I'm sorry. Are you shushing me? Like, why are you shushing me? Like,
Shushing your laugh?
huh?
Shushing your laugh? Okay.
Or, you know what I mean? So certain situations like that where as though it makes other people uncomfortable. Like, no, don't do that. Or, no, calm down. Shh, or don't act that way. Don't act that way, Blake, or in public, or, Nichelle, don't do, you know what I mean? Those sorts of things. And it's just kind of like,
The people I'm typically around, I study, I know who I'm dealing with all the time. So, not that I'm changing myself to be around anyone,
right.
but sometimes I don't want to put a lot of energy into people. So we meet each other,
I
at
totally
a
agree
certain.
with you. It's like, yeah.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, how difficult, because Tony Allen talked about this, where he is extremely successful, on the professional side, but not so successful on the relationship side. How do you guys balance, relationships as we're, successful individuals?
Well, I think we got to say where we are first, right? I think you're married, as you said.
She's almost married.
I'm not gonna put anything out there. That's just up to you to put it out there.
No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
in a relationship.
In a relationship, are you free to speak on?
So I'm single and I'm seeing somebody.
Okay, and I'm
Situationship.
Right.
situationship, and I'm like
Dating, yeah.
completely single. So all of us were.
Why?
I think we'll
Completely single.
have completely single.
Oh, but you have to look into the camera and say that.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Back to me. Back to your man. Back to that's a first commercial. But I think that's for that question. I guess I go first.
But it in whatever stage. You could be single, you could be married, you could be, divorced, you could be whatever those things, it's still requiring a balance. You know what I mean? Whether
absolutely.
have you been good at it, not so good at it, or do you choose not to be a part of it because it interferes with success, or
No, and I would say I think we're all going to have different great answers
Yeah.
because we're all in different situations. Like how long you been married for?
10 years, December 6th.
10, 20,
10
awesome.
years,
Congratulations.
decade.
Yes.
Well, it'll
love.
be 10 years this December.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, still,
That's okay.
yeah.
That's
10
okay.
years, boo.
Yeah.
10 years, boo. I kind of understand where Tony is. Two things could probably happen. You can either choose poor people, who you decide to, get into a relationship with. Well, not say poor people, but somebody who doesn't mesh well. Doesn't mesh well with you. You could have, I always say, you could have two perfectly good people who just might not be good for each other.
Right.
And that's okay. And that's life. And it's, it is what it is. You're going to fail 9 out of 10 relationships that you're in. It's the one successful marriage of 10 years that makes worth failing the 9 times. But also when it comes to, I say for a man, since I'm the only guy here, a career, money is to us as if parenthood, family is to a woman. That's the one thing that you probably want the most. I'll probably say it's at the top.
Some women.
Some women. I'll say some. I would say majority. I'm gonna say majority. Like even if you had, I'm pretty sure your family, wanting and wanting a marriage is really top priority. Will I agree? You don't disagree?
Can you finish your point?
Yeah.
No, because we have about an hour.
Listen. All right. Okay. You're right. No, I'm gonna skip it. Okay. No. You're right. My point.
No, I'm joking.
I think that some things will be sacrificed. And I always say you can't build 2 towers at the same time. Timing is everything. You're trying to build love at the same time you're trying to build your career. And really, if you really want to be great at it, it's going to be very tough because they both require a lot of time and a lot of attention. So when he might have gotten into a relationship or married, he was doing certain things in his career which required a lot of time and attention and his focus, which lacked in the relationship side, which brings on a lot of blah, blah, blah arguments, et cetera, et cetera. Then you break up and then it affects. And he made a decision. Am I choosing my career? Am I choosing love? And he probably chose, career. I'm not saying that's what he did, but just in general. And I understand that because as a man, we want to feel like we're a provider, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because if we can't do that, then we're like, what are we? It's like as a mother, as a woman, if you feel like some people feel if you can't be a mother, that takes something away from you, because you feel like that's what you're here for. As a man, I think we feel like we're here to be the protector, provider, being able to do certain things. And if we can't do that, we're like, what's up? Sorry, since you rushed my answer.
No.
Just joking.
No, I'm messing with you.
But I think sometimes I don't know if necessarily we're always that aware or that men are always that aware and that clear, you know what I mean? Because, or I would say both, because you can, start out with the right intentions, we can manage this or whatever the case may be, and then you end up just, failing at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Failure and goals.
You said what?
Failures and
Failure and
goals.
goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Balance is important. I do believe the energy that I put into work, I try to put in that same energy at home or with my family, with my friends. So having a balance, and it is something that you learn throughout life because sometimes we often forget it, because we get wrapped up in life, the hustle and bustle. So balance is key, and we need to be reminded of it.
Have you ever had to choose between your marriage and your career?
Sort of, but that's a long story.
Make it short.
No,
that's it.
You're throwing it
No.
back at me.
I'm joking, but that's a very serious question because as a woman, what am I doing? Do I want the career? Do I want the marriage to be successful?
So there's this biological clock, right, that we are faced with right around 28, 29, 30, right? Yeah. And so society makes you feel as if you have to have a ring by a certain age and you have to have this by a certain age. And so I was 20 something. I don't remember. This was, some time ago. And and I remember my friend and I always stressing about when are we going to get married. And so I remember meeting my husband, and my husband said, hey, wherever you go in your career, I'll follow and I'll be there. And then we linked up, and he says, oh, never mind, we're going to stay here. And I'm like, what? I don't want to stay in this particular area, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And so, yeah, I had to choose. But it was because of that biological clock. The biological clock, I feel like, made me so scared to be, without that I had to, not saying I forced myself into marriage, but I was just worried about, okay, I have to have this check, and I have to have this check, and I have to have that check. And now I'm complete. And that's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah.
And so it was important for us as women to ignore the biological clock, not be worried about what you said earlier, what other people are thinking, what other people are doing, to just be comfortable in your own skin.
You're checking boxes. You're trying to move things because in your mind it's already scripted. You already see it, and I'm going to make it happen. And then when you make it happen and it doesn't work, you're like, holy crap. And I'm not in control. Like, you know what I mean?
You're
like,
trying
I
to
can't
control
this. You can't control people as much as you want to. You have to accept people exactly for who they are. A man, a woman is not going to change. They are going to be who they are for the rest of your life. You have to make a decision if that's what you can deal with for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
You say accept them for who they are or reject them for who they're not.
Yeah.
And if they're not,
but both's okay, right?
Both's
like
okay.
Sometimes
Both
you think that you're bad when you're like, I'm sorry, I'm good, I'm walking away. This is just not for me.
Yeah, no, do that.
You said, nah, do that.
Nah, do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for people to say exactly what they want. Like, say when, like, hey, where are you at in your life? What do you want? And some people try to hide it. Like, no, I'm just trying to tiptoe around it. I'm like, no, just say what you want, and then we can make a decision and talk about it.
Yeah.
And we can figure out some things, and we're like, okay, well, cool. I'm cool with that. You cool with that? Boom, boom, boom. Or you're not cool with that, etc. You know what I mean? Some people are so hard to say what they want. It's like in a relationship, women, love y'all. I love y'all to death. I love y'all. But, plenty of times, y'all know exactly what y'all
taking
want.
this bottle and I'm going to... No, I'm
just Don't hit me.
No,
like,
I'm joking.
Certain things you want the guy to figure out what you want, rather than saying, no, this is what I like, this is what I want, etc.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't want to teach. Sometimes you just don't want to teach. You know what I mean?
You know what you want, right?
Exactly.
And that'll give you...
I mean, you grow, you learn. You know what I mean? I would say at one point I was like, golly, I don't want to teach. But then you realize, like, okay, like, you are going to have to teach this person because they don't know you. You know what I mean?
Right.
They've never encountered,
Tell me what you want.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being with me today on Peeling the Onion. Thank you. You guys have a great day, and tune in next time.